Welcome to the Amazing Legacy Show. On this channel, we discuss real estate, lifestyle, and finance. And in case this is the first time you are joining or you are watching this channel, my name is Raji Olawale. I am a real estate coach and a venture capitalist. If what you are looking for is a channel that discusses real estate locally and globally, if what you are looking for is a channel that talks about the lifestyle of certain individuals when it comes to real estate, or you are looking for a channel that discusses about business, financial options, how to increase your portfolio, how to diversify your investment portfolio, then this is the right channel. And today we are going to be discussing about something very interesting. This is a very interesting topic. And what is that topic? The topic for today is real estate the king of investment? Join me, I will be right back. Welcome back to the Amazing Legacy Show. So just like I said earlier, today we are going to be considering, is real estate the goat of investment? Is real estate the king of all investments? Now, before I go into whether real estate is the king of investment, I want you to understand that several wealthiest people in the world that we know today, right from Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, several billionaires that we know today, locally and globally, at one point in time built their wealth through some sort of investment. Now, today we are going to be looking at something strange. How were they able to build their investment portfolio, or what were the leverage used in building their investment portfolio? You'll agree with me that there are so many investments you can engage in. So many investments, so many options to diversify your portfolios, but is real estate the king of investment? Before I go into the topic of the day, I'm going to be considering this topic on the basis of 5 criteria. That means I'm going to be looking at the kings of investment, and I'm going to be looking at the top 5 king of investment, the top 5 legends of investment. I'm going to be going from the bottom to the top. Now, the criteria I used in judging these specific types of investment is what I'm going to be discussing about now. For me to come to that conclusion of which was actually the king of investment from the bottom to the top, from number 5, number 4, number 3, number 2, and number 1. Number 1, which I classified the king, the legends, the goat of all investments, I looked at it from the angle of 5 criteria. And number 1 criteria is wealth building. Now, what investments do I call the goat of investment? And such investments cannot build wealth successfully over a long period of time. Now, if we are to consider which investment is actually the king of investment, we are looking at it from the angle of wealth building. What is wealth building? Wealth building is a system that has been put in place to build wealth for a particular person or a particular group of people over a long period of time, which means it is not solving an immediate need, it is solving a futuristic need. Now, I'm going to be talking about several kinds of investment, and you are going to be seeing that among all the investment I'm going to be talking about, each and every one of them has the potential to build wealth. But the question is, which among them can build the most wealth for you? And that is where I come into the conclusion of which was the king of investment. Number 2 criteria I'm going to be looking at is it must have the ability to beat inflation. That is number 2 criteria I'm going to be looking at. Number 2 criteria I'm going to be looking at is that the investment must have the criteria to beat inflation. What is inflation? Inflation is when money loses value over time. Now, What sort of investment are we going to be talking about as the king of investment? And such investment over time cannot dominate inflation, which means that if we are picking an investment which is the king of investment, which I'll be doing from the bottom to the top, it has to be an investment that has the power to dominate inflation. And when I mean dominating inflation, I also mean that that investment has what we call the high purchasing power, which means that no matter whatsoever happens, if things increases over a period of 10 years, over a period of 20 years, you will agree with me that the same value of money you have now and the same value of money you still have in the next 10-20 years will have lost a lot of value. Why? Because of inflation. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is that it must have an high purchasing power. It must have an influence to dominate inflation. Number 3 criteria I looked at when looking at the king of investment was that it must be an investment that can help you achieve financial goal. We came into conclusion about which was the king of investment. I looked at it from the angle of which investment could help you achieve financial goal faster. And what do I mean by financial goal? Number one thing I mean by financial goal is that there is a projection that you have for yourself. For instance, I want to become so and so in the next 5 years. I'm looking at a long time projection of acquiring this property, of acquiring this asset, of acquiring this investment, of having this equity in my account or within my possession. So the investment that gives you the ability, the leverage to achieve it the fastest is what I call the king of investment. Because when we look at financial goal, helping you to achieve financial goal, it must be able to help you live through your retirement age. An investment that can see you through retirement is an investment you and I want to consider the king of investment. It must be an investment that can help you live through your retirement age. An investment that can conveniently and comfortably help you through every expenses that you'd incur, either short-term expenses or either long-term expenses. It's an investment that has taken all your expenses into calculation, and it is able to cater for every expenses you might want to take. Now, the part of people who have built wealth over time, number 4 criteria I considered when I was looking at the king of investment is that it must be an investment that has what I called low risk. Low risk. The truth of the matter is there is no investment that does not have risk in itself. Every investment has its own risk. But now we are looking at an investment that has low risk. It helps you to lower your risk and maximize your profits. Now, the king of investment, the legends, the goats of investment. When I mean goat of investment, I mean greatest of all time. So the greatest of all time, when it comes to investment, it has in quote low risk and high profitability. When we are talking about an investment that have low risk, it must be an investment that gives you peace of mind. If it's not an investment that gives you peace of mind, then it's not an investment that have low risk. It has an high level of risk, and the degree of the peace of mind that you have in an investment is the degree to the kind of risk you are undertaking in any investment you want to partake in. So looking at the king of investment, I looked at the investment that has what I called low risk, subject to price volatility. The price market is not extremely volatile, even though there is nothing certain, and in everything you do in life risk is always involved, but any which way, the risk that is involved in this type of investment is well calculated, and that is why it gives you peace of mind. Now, number 5 thing I consider, or number 5 indicator I consider while I was looking at the king of investment, was an investment that can give you, or an investment that can generate what I call passive income. When we are talking about passive income, we have passive income, we have active income. Now I will explain the two. I'll start from active income. Active income is a system of wealth, or a system to generate income into your possession by working for it. You have to be actively involved. So vice versa, when it comes to passive income, you generate money without working for it. You don't have to be there per se to work for it. But while you are sleeping, you are on vacation, it generates money for you on a daily basis. One important thing about passive income is that you don't have to work for it. You've already built a system that is generating money for you without you being actively involved. For instance, you have, let's say, a property. When you have a property, let's say a 10-bedroom flat. If you have a 10-bedroom flat, which means you have 10 tenants, these 10 tenants pay for your expenses. These tenants pay for every need, possibly depending on the kind of money you are generating from that property. If it's a property that commands high value, if it's a property whereby the cost of rent is that high, maybe because of the location, it means that if you are incurring if you are incurring high expenses, these tenants in one way or the other pay for these expenses. It may also be in the area of building a business. Now, you can have a business where you have people actively working for you, but because you are not there, you already have a manager managing the property for you, and because you have a manager properly doing everything for you, month in, month out, revenue is generated into the organization. That's a system. That's a passive system of building wealth. You are not actively involved. Now, having looked at these 5 criteria, I'm going to go into the topic of the day. Is real estate the king of investment? Some people might choose to say, is real estate the mother of investment? You can choose to say, is real estate the father of investment? Depending on which way you call it, or you choose to call it, is real estate the goat of investment? Whichever you choose to call it. Now I'm going to be going into the business of today. Is real estate the king of investment? I looked at the several kings of investment from the 5th to the top. That's from number 5, from number 4, from number 3, from number 2, then to number 1. My number 1 is the king of investment. So I am looking at the top 5 investment before I got to the king of investment. For you, if you do not agree with me, from probably maybe my arrangement, or probably for you, my own king of investment is not your own king of investment, or for you have a total different opinion about which should be the king of investment, or you disagree with me one way or the other, you are free to share your comment in the comment section below. But for me, this is how I view the king of investment. My number 5 is the healthcare. Yes, my number 5 is the healthcare. Now, one beautiful thing about the healthcare is that population is increasing on a daily basis, and because the population is increasing on a daily basis, the need for quality healthcare is on a rise. And because the need for quality healthcare is on the rise, there is always need to expand the scope of quality healthcare. And because of that, I picked healthcare investment as number 5. Everybody wants to be healthy, even though we don't have money, even though we are poor, even though we are rich. No matter the kind of condition we find ourselves, nobody wants to die prematurely, nobody wants to die early, nobody wants to fall victim of evil circumstances. But either which way, this is a need, and because of this need, there is need for healthcare delivery. Number one reason why healthcare is in so much need, why I consider it the 5th king of investment, is because, one, there is no how we humans want to do it. We must be sick. We have the tendency to fall sick because of the kind of food we eat, the places we go, the kind of life we live. Number 2 thing is that tragedies, calamities happen unexpectedly. There is need for urgent treatment, most times need for surgery. Because of this, healthcare has gained a dominant role. Another thing why for me healthcare is number 5 is because the healthcare system has so many chains of investment. When you are looking at the healthcare system, it is not only with respect to hospital, patients coming to the hospital. There are so many things that are attached to hospital. Number 1, which we are all familiar with, is the hospital. There is so much money made in the hospital. Considering it as one of the greats when it comes to investment is because people patronize hospital on a daily basis. People patronize hospital. Now, you may not necessarily be a doctor to have an hospital. You can be an investor. You may invest and have an hospital. You may build an hospital. After building the hospital, then you hire the service of a medical doctor or a medical personnel to help you handle and manage the hospital. That is one. Number 2 is pharmacy. There is so much money in the pharmaceutical business. Every day we fall ill, and because of that, there is need for drugs. And because of this need for drugs, people need to get drugs, people need to buy drugs, people need to treat themselves. And if you go to almost every corner, almost every street in Nigeria, there is one pharmaceutical store or the other, which means that pharmaceutical business is a big business when it comes to healthcare system in Nigeria. Number 3 area when it comes to healthcare investing is the laboratory. Now, there is not so much noise around laboratory. People don't know that there is money in the laboratory business. When I'm talking about laboratory business, you agree with me that when you go to the hospital, the doctor asks you to, the doctor under investigating you probably asks you to go and carry out some tests. Now, when you get to the hospital, probably a laboratory is recommended for you. When you get to that particular laboratory, there are so many tests they can do for you. Each of them, there is a price attached to each of them. And number 4 thing I want to discuss when it comes to healthcare that people don't know is you can go into the business of medical equipment. There is so much money in medical equipment. You can make money through the technology aspect of medicine. You can make money through it. You can make money selling equipment. You can make money selling gloves, surgery equipment. You can make money selling disposables. Now, another aspect when it comes to healthcare system is what I call medical tourism. Many people don't know that there is so much money in medical tourism because there are so many services that cannot be rendered here in Nigeria when it comes to healthcare, and because of that, there is need to always fly them abroad for medical care. And because of that, there are people that facilitate this traveling. The people who facilitate this travel make a whole lot of money doing this. So you may want to also be looking at this direction. So that is the reason why I said, for me, my number 5, okay, for me, my number 5 is healthcare. There is so much money to be made in the healthcare. And remember, you can be an entrepreneur. You may not necessarily be a medical doctor before you go into the business of healthcare. You can key yourself into one of the chain of investment that is embedded in the healthcare sector. The healthcare sector is loaded with a lot of potential financial benefits. My number 4 is an unusual investment, because personally I'm just trying to understand the pattern of this investment. I've not really gone so deep into this kind of investment, but I believe so much in this investment. Why do I give this investment number 4? Because I believe in the potential that this investment carry, and I believe in the nearest future I'm probably going to be going into this kind of investment. My number 4 investment, before I go to the GOAT, the king of investment, is the stock market. The stock market is a strange investment that has the potential of making you wealthy overnight, and it's also an investment that has the potential of crashing you down. If you are impatient and you want to do the investment that I call the stock market investment, within a single transaction you might lose your money, you might lose everything. The stock market is another kind of investment that I see as one of the greatest investment. Why do I see this investment as one of the greatest investment? It is because I've seen this investment touch lives. I've seen this investment transform lives. There is one person that comes to mind when it comes to this kind of investment. For me, I see him as the GOAT of stock market investing. I see him as the king and the legends of stock market investing. And who is this person? His name is Warren Buffett. If you want to invest in the stock market, there are basically 3 options that you can engage in. Number 1 option is probably you want to learn it yourself, and if you want to learn it yourself, it means you have to give so much time to study. You have to give so much time to understanding how the market works. You don't just want to take any kind of decision when it comes to the stock market investing. You want to understand everything. Why? Because there is so much risk attached to this kind of investment, and if you don't understand it, you might end up losing your money. Number 2 thing you want to do is you want to engage a stockbroker. There are people we call the stockbrokers. So these people, they are well experienced, they are well skilled. And number 3 thing, if you are interested in investing in this kind of investment, is that you want to look at some companies. There are few companies, and I can tell you one of the companies that I'm familiar with, that I'm probably studying to see their patterns, is the AfriInvest. I believe that the AfriInvest has a platform that helps people invest in places like stock, shares, commercial papers, government bonds, etc. So I believe that there are companies like this called AfriInvest can help you if you don't understand it and you want to invest in stock markets. I did a lot of study about Warren Buffett, about companies he has invested in, and I'll be sharing with you shortly about all this information, and you will see how one man has single-handedly dominated the stock market, and he has been tagged the king of investment. Now let us consider one of those investments that Warren Buffett has done. So let us consider some of Warren Buffett's portfolio. Number 1 is Apple. In Apple alone, Warren Buffett has a whopping sum of $87.37 billion. One single man having a whole sum of $87.37 billion. And this is the money he made by investing in stock markets. He invested in the American Express company, and he made a whopping sum of $38.9 billion. I'm not talking about $1 million here. I'm not talking about $1 million here. I'm talking about $1 billion. I'm talking about $1 billion. Number 3, he made an investment in Bank of America. And in Bank of America alone, his portfolio is worth $34.14 billion in Bank of America. You will agree with me that apart from this, he has an investment in a brand that you and I consume every day. You and I consume that brand every day. In fact, yesterday I consumed that brand, and there is a possibility that before the end of this year, I don't know how many times I will consume that brand. What is that brand? Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is a major brand all over the world. It's a dominant brand, and either you consume Coca-Cola or you don't consume Coca-Cola, or you intend, as long as you consume Coca-Cola, you are paying Warren Buffett indirectly. And in Coca-Cola alone, Warren Buffett has a whopping sum of $28.79 billion. Now, there is this oil firm called Chevron. He has a whopping sum of $16.78 billion in Chevron. In Occidental Petroleum, Warren Buffett has a whopping sum of $13.38 billion. In Moody's Company, he has a whopping sum of $11.90 billion. This is just a single man. In Kraft Heinz is a product that you and I consume, from our salad to to mayonnaise to little beverages that we consume. He has a whopping sum in Kraft Heinz, $11.73 billion. In Club Limited is a big company. Is a giant conglomerate, and Warren Buffett has a sum of $7.88 billion in another company that is called Davita. That is the number 10th of his portfolio I just called for you, among several of his investments that he has. In Davita, he has $5.44 billion. How can one man? This is a man that has mastered the strokes of stock market in the world. He has mastered the system. Does it mean that he has not failed? He has failed. He has failed at one point or the other, but he mastered the art of turning his failure into strange success, of making his failure count for a maximum success. And this is how Warren Buffett made so much money from stock market. There are several other persons that has made so much money from stock market. So for me, my number 4 is the stock market. My number 3 king of investment is the oil and gas. The oil and gas, in another word, we call it oil money. Oil money. There is so much money in the oil and gas that it almost looks like a ritual money. Why? Because the oil and gas market, it's a big market. It's $1 trillion market. It's a market that cannot be exhausted as long as the need for oil and gas is still relevant. Now, going into the oil and gas, you will agree with me that people that want to go into the oil and gas business is not for small players, it's not for kids, it's for the big boys. People like Otedola, people like Alakija. So these are big players when it comes to oil and gas industry in the world. And oil and gas, I must warn you, in as much as it's a big boom business, is a business that earns you so much money. And if you look at this oil and gas, it satisfies so many of our indicators. Another thing you must look before you say you want to go to the business of oil and gas is that it has some set of limitations, that if you are not skilled or you don't have the connection to handle this kind of limitation, it may be so difficult for you to handle the business called the oil and gas. Number 1 is the government policy. We don't know what the government policy can be in the future. The oil and gas is a business that commands huge income. Looking at people who owns filling station, people who owns oil well, people who market, people who are the middleman, so much money in the oil and gas, so much money. In as much as there is so much money, the oil and gas has a huge risk. I'm not currently doing oil and gas business, but I know that for me, my number 3 is the oil and gas business. There will be so much money to be made, as long as you know the right button to press, you know the right people to connect with, you have maybe 1 or 2 government backing, you are good to go. even if you don't have government back, one or two government backing, as long as you know the right thing to do and you have a bold mind and you have the heart to take a very big risk, you can go into the oil and gas. It will definitely pay off. For my number 2 is the agriculture sector. Wow, I know some of you may be looking at, why is my number 2 not the why is my number 1 not agricultural sector? Why am I giving agricultural sector number 2? For me, it is my number 2. You may debate it, it all depends on you, but for me, this is my number 2, agriculture. Why? Because we consume food every day. We cannot do without eating, and that is why I believe that agriculture is number 2. In Nigeria, agriculture contributes a whopping sum of 24% to our GDP. Food is a necessity that cannot be joked with. Food is something that is paramount in our daily living. That is why I said that agriculture for me is my number 2. As long as it's anything agriculture, there is money in it. Agriculture has a wide range of diversification. A wide range of diversification. You look at the livestock, you look at the crops, you look at probably selling things that are connected and attached to food. Despite our vast land in Nigeria, we have, underutilized the potential of what agriculture can achieve for us in Nigeria. Maybe we don't know. Agriculture offers a vast level or a vast option of investment and expanding. A vast option from crop processing to exporting of agriculture. In Nigeria alone, exporting cocoa is great money. Agro exports, so much money. The federal government, the state government, the local government pay so much attention to the sector called agriculture. And Lagos State especially pays so much when it comes to agriculture. A testament to this is Lagos State Eco Food Project. The Lagos State Eco Food Project was with an initiative to provide food security. It took them to provide food security, which they are doing, and they are trying to achieve in the best possible way they can achieve it. In Lagos alone, we have over 20 million population. That is in Lagos State alone. It shows you the potential and the level of consumption that will be surfacing in a place like Lagos. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, in Lagos alone, annually we consume 300 million tubers of yam. 300 million. Which means that what? Nigeria still faces deficits, food deficit of approximately 20 million metric tons annually, with Lagos most being affected. Why? Because of the dense population and the limited arable land in Lagos. Now, I don't know if you have had this Lagos program called the Ecoyam Project. For example, that Ecoyam Project successfully completed an initial phase. They did an initial phase called the Ecoyam Project. It had 2 phases, phase 1.0 and phase 2.0. The phase 1.0 yielded over 1 million tubers of yam. But the question now is it enough? It is not enough. And there are also several projects that the Lagos State government has done. Why? Focus on agriculture is so much. Why? Because it is believed that when there is food sufficiency, when there is food security, there will be what we call economic growth in the country. So one thing that tries and that makes an economy to grow Number one thing is when they've successfully achieved something we call food security. An economy that has not achieved food security, that wants to start going into technology, going into other aspects of life. Another thing the Lagos State government has done is what we call the Lagos Agripreneurship Program. Now, what is the Lagos Agripreneurship Program all about? The Lagos Agripreneurship Program was aimed to empowering 15,000 youth and women, training them on how to farm, on how to use farm implements, on empowering 15,000 youth and women in the area of agriculture. Another thing the Lagos State government has done is what we call the Lagos Food Production Center. It was aimed at building a center to increase local food production. The Lagos State government is doing so much to create a space, a center whereby people can come, think tanks can come, they can engage think tanks, and they can think, how can we achieve food security? How can we succeed? How can we use technology? How can we imbibe the use of technology to achieve the projection of food in Lagos State? Another thing they considered was the Smart Agripreneurship Project. Now, what is the Smart Agripreneurship Project all about? The Smart Agripreneurship Project was to focus on empowering young Nigerians and nurturing them to become agropreneurs with skills, with resources and support needed for them to succeed in agro-business sector. So the Lagos State government is looking at a scenario where technology is used to achieve food security. Now, my number one king of investment, I know this is the time that most of you have actually been waiting for. Some of you are curious, but because I've not even mentioned in number 5, number 4, number 3, number 2, definitely you must have been expecting it at this particular point in time. My number one king of investment is no other than real estate. Real estate investment. Now, I want to show you something. Look at this. It's called the Millionaire Real Estate Method. This is a book that has helped me so much when it comes to understanding what is called real estate. Back in the days, I read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's another enriching book when it comes to real estate. For me, why is real estate the king of investment? The king of investment because looking at all the indicators, it satisfies perfectly the indicators I spoke about earlier. When it comes to building wealth, no other investment does it better than real estate. When it comes to low risk, no other investment does it better than real estate. When it comes to passive income, no other investment does it better than real estate. So generally speaking, the real estate investment, it's an investment the future. It's an investment I perceive as the king of investment. It's an investment I perceive as the legend, as the gold, the greatest of all time of investment. Now, for instance, if you buy a land in, let's say, somewhere like Ajegunle, and you buy a land, let's say in somewhere like let's say Ikoyi, you will agree with me that when you want to develop the two land, the one at Ikoyi, the one at Ajegunle, you will use the same quantity of sand, the same quantity of cement, the same quantity of wood, the same quantity of iron, the same quantity of pipe to develop the same prototype building in the different location, in these two locations. Now, because you are using the same prototype, you are developing the same prototype building in these two particular places. At the end of it all, you will agree with me that when you want to sell both property, even though they are the same building in different locations, the same architectural style, the same aesthetics, the same size of land, the same size of room, the same lobby, Nothing. If in fact, the same horticulture, the same level of beauty. But you agree with me that when you want to sell the one in Ikoyi and when you want to sell the other one that is in Ajegunle, it will command different value. That is why, for people who don't understand, for me, if you ask me, what is the first thing when you want to consider a real estate investment, I will tell you is location. The second thing when it comes to real estate investment, I will tell you is location. The third thing when it comes to real estate investment, I will tell you is location. The fourth thing I may tell you any other thing. Why? Because location says a lot when it comes to real estate investing. Location matters a lot when it comes to real estate investing. Real estate has so much potential. Now, what are the potentials when it comes to real estate? Number one potential when it comes to real estate is you have what we call the sales and letting. You want to be somebody who sells property. You want to be somebody who markets property. There is so much money. A deal in real estate can change your entire life. Just a deal, just probably buying a property for somebody or selling a property for somebody can change your entire life. So sales and letting is one big business. Another aspect when it comes to real estate investment, is what I call the facility management. Managing a facility commands so much money. You know, looking at the AC maintenance, looking at the cleaning of the facilities, looking at the security of the facilities, looking at repair works to be done. So many opportunities in real estate. Another interesting aspect of real estate that commands so much value is what I call, the king of it. That is real estate development. When you develop a property, and after developing the property, you probably rent it or you sell it. Either you are renting it or you are selling it. You are making what I call the passive income. You are making so much money when it comes to real estate. So much money when it comes to real estate. So there is so much money when it comes to real estate investing in Nigeria. Real estate appreciates. The value of real estate appreciates with time. Real estate does not depreciate, which means that if you are building in a place that does not have high value, as long as it's real estate, you can make money by what? By renting the property. You can earn passive income from renting or from rentals. So any which way, if you look at it, there is so much money in real estate. And when it comes to the construction aspect of real estate, there is so much money when it comes to the construction aspect of real estate. Yeah, because real estate has what I call so much chains of investment attached to it. There is need for sand in a construction site. There is need for wood. There is need for iron. There is need for nails. There is need for slate. There is need for asbestos. There is need for paint. There is need for wire. So there is so much attached. You don't necessarily have to be a real estate person. Supplying cement for people who are constructing is huge money. Supplying sand is huge money. Supplying wood is wood money, huge money. Supplying stones for sand filling is huge money. There is so much money attached to real estate in Nigeria. So for me, real estate is the king of investment. I don't know which is the king of investment for you. Feel free to share in the comment section below. If you enjoy what you have just watched, I want to encourage you, kindly share, like and subscribe. Thank you.